Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolve@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Genesis mission from Halo 5 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. This episode, we're debriefing the Before the Storm and Battle of Sunaion missions from Halo 5. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krysta Brown.
Nathan Fillion's extremely handsome in this game.
He's very brave, too.
He's very brave and handsome. Did I mention handsome?
Last mission was Alliance and Enemy Lines, so Jameson Locke and Thel Vadam barely had a chance to say hello before Cortana interrupted their meet and greet. Her knowledge of the Guardian at Sunaion meant the human-Sangheili partnership needed to move faster than originally planned. Fireteam Osiris set out to secure a Forerunner constructor drone in order to communicate with the ancient metal beast, but they had to deal with a Covenant-controlled Kraken first. After disposing of the enormous walking tripod, our hunters secured the constructor and regrouped with the swords of Sanghelios. This mission, Dr. Halsey activates the constructor and it immediately takes off for the Guardian buried beneath Sunaion. The Spartan Sangheili Alliance gives chase and makes a hot drop down into the sacred city. After taking out the Covenant's air defenses, Fireteam Osiris and the Arbiter reconvene and make their final push towards hitching a ride on the Guardian. The date of the game is October 27th, 2558. I just want to mention here that remember back when we played Halo 2? Remember that?
It's kind of fuzzy. Yeah, it was way too long ago.
Remember, whenever I read my recaps, I always say, like, it's, there's like a flash forward to October 27th, 2558. That is today. That is
what?
That is this mission. So we'll talk about that.
I must have been sleeping for a while.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, but there's an interesting connection between Halo 2 and Halo 5, this particular mission set. But we'll cover off on Before the Storm first. There's not really much of a cutscene. You just kind of get dropped back off from the Phantom after you picked up the constructor. You really need to go, I think you go talk to Palmer first, and then you go talk to Halsey, and then that's it. It's really all you need to do. You can climb around. It's the same base. I don't think anything changed. Maybe I think where people are, like the conversations that are happening and things like that. But I think you can climb the same structures and whatnot. I guess I didn't really notice any differences. But go around, talk to some people. I found a couple things that were interesting. There is like an infirmary down below.
That was interesting. I thought that was cool, yeah. Yeah,
off to the side where traditionally we've talked about how Sangheili, they don't really heal each other. They don't, like, if you get hurt or something, you kill yourself, right?
They only play DPS.
Right. So now the sort of Sanghelios is taking a little bit more, I don't know, is it open-minded to heal yourself?
Practical.
Innovation.
Practical, yeah. There you go.
They've changed their tactics.
Yeah, so there's an actual doctor, a Sangheili doctor, looking at some of the people that are, or some of the Sangheili, the elites that are injured, and they're having conversations and trying to heal them, trying to treat them. But there is one conversation, like the story, like there's a Sangheili talking to one of the injured, and they talk about some story about how, like, the commander, like the surgeon was working on somebody else in the army, and the commander came up and talked to the surgeon, and the surgeon was like, well, I'll get to you after I'm done with this this lower infantry. And then the Sangheili's like, oh yeah, well, what happened next? And he's like, well, that elite went and snapped the surgeon's neck.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. But so some interesting conversations. One of the things, did you guys notice anything else as you wandered around this area again?
I didn't spend too much time with it today.
Either did I, honestly.
Yeah. And that's that's understandable, especially since you played the game multiple times. So yeah, wander around if you want or don't, but it's more. One of the things that another thing that I thought was really interesting is that if you go and kind of look out to the skybox, and there's like a sunset going on, and there's all of the Swords of St. Helios ships like getting ready to go, which is really cool. They're all gearing up, and they're just waiting for you to make your couple contacts.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Did you guys notice the other thing that I noticed? Did you notice how small Palmer looked next to the Arbiter?
The elites? Yeah.
Well, the elites are 8 feet tall.
Yeah, but the Spartans are 7 feet tall. I think she's like 6'10" or something like that. So they're like literally 2 or 3 feet taller than her. So they're I feel like they're way too big in that situation. Or maybe they rendered her
Their
too
armor
small.
might be making them look a bit bigger, though. Like this, I know the Arbiter's like helmet is kind of tall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That might be what it is. It might be just the kind of added height from wearing a bunch of armor.
Yeah, they're beefier too, I guess. The Spartans are fairly.
And remember, Spartan armor's pretty much skin tight.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too bulky. It's not giving them any added. It's giving them added girth, but not added height.
The Spartan 2 armor is way bulkier than like Palmer's scout armor would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it looked a little off to me. I mean, I know they're trying to show how big the elites are, but like Palmer is no slouch. Like she's got some size to her too. Anyway, go have a chat with her really quick. Go ahead.
Nothing.
Okay. You go have a chat with her really quick. You just chat with Arbiter and her, and then they say, go over and talk to Halsey. She's gonna activate the constructor. You go talk to Halsey. She activates the constructor. She says, "Hey, it's gonna take a while." So just sit tight, and then all of a sudden, nope, the constructor, goes directly for the Guardian. So I think, what does she do? She uploads that signal that Roland found back in whatever mission it was, a couple missions back, and that was the whole reason for them to go find the Guardian. So he found that signal, then Halsey uses it to upload to the constructor, and then the constructor goes and finds the Guardian.
Yep.
Got that? All makes sense. It's we got there. So now, then we just kind of end the cutscene, there is a little bit of a cutscene, I think, right? The Arbiter does say this is where he gives his little speech.
There's a very I wouldn't even say a speech; it's a sentence of like, now we go to rid the Covenant today. Blah blah blah. Victory. Blah done. Yeah. That's it.
For St. Helios.
All
right?
these, they pop their swords for St. Helios, and then there's like a Halsey and Locke moment, which is kind of a little bit weird. Just kind of about like. Halsey's just kind of trying to get a message through Locke that Cortana bad, John good, and don't hurt John. He says pretty much just stop Cortana, but bring John home to me. It's very emotional. You can feel.
It's very sweet.
It's kind of out of place for her, out of character for her, isn't it?
Well, not in this game.
You underestimate how much Halsey like really adores her Spartans. Like.
Yeah.
She could give two shits about anyone else in this world, but when it comes to her Spartans, they're like her kids. Mm-hmm. And you see that a lot in like some of the extended universe and stuff. Like she could give a shit about anything else, but
yeah, we've seen her be so hard this entire series. In Reach we saw her and she was hard the entire time. She barely batted an eye with George. But, now she's finally, like, feeling the emotional weight of what's going on, which we just haven't seen from her in the games.
Also, I think it's important to note the loss of Miranda isn't really shown to impact her in the games in a big way, but it really does in the extended lore. So
she becomes a little more maternal, yeah.
Yeah, are way different between Reach and now. It's quite a long period of time between those two games.
Yeah.
And we see her a little bit in Halo 4, but she's being interrogated, so she's not going to show any kind of emotion or anything.
Yeah, she gets
very serious in that when they start talking about the Spartans, but you see a little bit, but now you're kind of seeing the exact relationship she kind of has with her Spartans.
The other thing that's interesting, do you think she realizes, probably, but she caused all of this, right? Like, it's Cortana.
Kind of.
She's causing some problems, and Cortana came from her brain, and then the Spartans are her brainchild as well. So this is all because of Halsey, right?
You could also say, like, the the Human Covenant War was won because of Halsey. It's a very, like, loose connection to all of this. She just happened to do things that resulted in other things. It's the butterfly effect, you know?
Sure, but I guess she had her hands in the humans being able to win, right? She's the reason that they won because of the Spartans, but then she's also, because of those creations that she made that enabled them to win, they've also helped to devolve into this situation.
She has no control over Cortana, though. It's
it's
very it's very apparent as we go on. Like, like Cortana hates Halsey too.
Yeah,
it's not like they love. Neither woman likes each other. They both kind of hate each other.
Well, at this point, like in Halo 4, Cortana was talking about, hey, get me back to Halsey and maybe she can fix me. But, things have changed. Things have changed quite a bit.
She also shows a lot of disdain for Halsey in Halo 4, too. Like, look what she did to you and stuff like that,
When
like
she starts
how
to split and
imprisoned
fracture,
me.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, when
it's
she
a
starts to go
very
nuts.
anti-Halsey, like, part of her that comes out.
That's interesting. All right, so now let's go. Let's do the Battle of Sunaion. Let's go into this opening cutscene. I want to mention here, though, remember Halo 2? Like I mentioned at the top of the show, when you fire up Halo 2 Anniversary, you get to watch this cutscene, but it's a little different. It's actually quite a bit different. You get to watch where Locke and Arbiter are having a conversation about hunting John, and there's some other Spartans that you can't really see or you don't know who they are. They're in the background, and there's a bunch of elites. They're all in this lich that you're actually in now in Halo 5. Remember that Halo 2 Anniversary was part of the Master Chief Collection, which was released in 2014. Halo 5 was released in 2015. I think 343 was trying to be clever and say, hey, look at this cool connection, and here's this cutscene that you're also going to see in Halo 5. Plus, it was a little bit of hype moment for Halo 5, and they were trying to introduce Locke and all that sort of thing. It shows you that the story was changed and tweaked a little bit, because the conversations that they have in the Anniversary cutscene talks about how, here's the target, it's John, where like they already had that conversation in the previous mission, and Arbiter is like surprised, and they're kind of going back and forth. It's a little bit off that they're having the conversation in the lich that they already had in the tent in the previous mission.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that cutscene, guys?
It's very disconnected from what actually is happening. It's weird.
There's more tension in the cutscene that in the Anniversary one than the other one. Like, do you know what I mean? Even in the scene where like they're talking about who's hunting who and what you're going after, the Anniversary cutscene's got way more going in it, I think, and a little bit of a better focus. I don't know. It's a very different vibe, very different.
Well, it's more about the hunt too, and at this point, I guess we're technically still hunting John currently in Halo 5, but it's a different kind of hunt. We're not hunting. We're just trying to find him now. It's two different. It's the same kind of verb, but they're two different actions, right? Like, we're not going to go try to find and hunt him and capture him. We're going to go try to find him and help him out, right? Because we know that there's this larger threat. But anyway, just an interesting thing. I think go watch that if you haven't. And then there's actually there's an initial cutscene from the beginning of the game, and then I forget if it's part of the game at the very end when you finally beat Halo 2 Anniversary, because I know there's a whole Cortana and the Gravemind that happens. But there is then they prepare to drop somewhere. You don't know when you're watching Halo 2 where they're dropping, but this is when they're going to prepare to drop down into the Battle of Sunaion. But it's very interesting to go check out. So I would recommend going to just watch it to absorb that and kind of see what they were thinking at the time in 2014 or whenever they made the actual cutscene, probably a little before that. David, why don't you take us through the cutscene that we have for
Do you want me to do the intel real quick?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I'll make it super quick. These are all paragraphs, though, so I apologize.
So this is the intel for Before the Storm.
Before the Storm, yeah. There are 5 pieces of intel that can be found on Before the Storm. So the first one is Attack Wing Jardam Combat Report. As I flew my Banshee towards the Kraken, I could see 4 humans running alongside the ridge below me. They were fighting uphill, greatly outnumbered, and the Covenant forces barely slowed them down. Jewel Mandama used to say humans could never stand against the glory of the Covenant. It shames me to think I once took orders from such a fool. Wow, wow, wow. That's kind of a 360 there.
Isn't it?
Next one is Honor Guard, personal log 2 out of 2. The battle was glorious. When I took to the air, my concerns about pleasing the Arbiter vanished. After all, there is no time to think about pride when taking turret fire. I destroyed the assigned target while avoiding the Kraken's flailing arms. The accursed thing crumbled beneath our onslaught. The victory honored us, and that is all I require. This was the guy who was, like, super nervous to be around the Arbiter, if you guys remember that one.
That's right, yeah.
The next one is Sanghili Security Officer's Log. Security Officer's Log. I was able to convince a Covenant grunt to tell me how they tracked the Arbiter's movements. Marok Vidam of the Arbiter's Keep. The Covenant promised him power and prestige, but desperate ploy from the dying faction. Marok did not resist when he was questioned. Perhaps he thought the Arbiter would not execute a member of his own clan. Ha ha ha, he was wrong. Says laughed in parentheses. Oh, good. This one's going to be interesting. Ungoy Science Report.
Well, that sounds dubious.
Human Science Report, Log 42. Prolonged observation of Dr. Halsey supports theories from New Alexandria that human females signal maturity by losing appendages.
Jesus.
He's talking about Kat, by the way.
Oh, right.
If my hypothesis be correct, soon Dr. Halsey will release her spores and spin into a cocoon of rich metal meat silk. Truly, this is a very exciting time to be making science. So, Halsey's going to be in a cocoon.
Is it the same arm? The cat lost her right arm, right?
No, Kat lost her
Halsey's
right
her
arm.
left.
Halsey lost her left, yeah.
Yep.
So he's seeing human females losing their arms and thinking there's a correlation, which is hilarious.
That's so good.
All right, next one is Dr. Halsey's status, supplemental. You talk a great deal about how you need me, Thiel. That you could take Sunaion with or without the Guardian, that uniting this whole planet is within your grasp. Go ahead. Be as stubborn as you like, but do not ignore the past, and do not forget who I represent. You talk constantly of respect. It's time you showed some. Consider this my final mandatory status update. Whew. I think she's angry.
Yes, she is.
All right, that's all we got, boys.
Cool.
Let's go to Sunaion.
Let's do it. Let's make the hot drop. Let's go. So what's this cutscene?
Super hot.
We got a nice little cutscene here between Locke and his team. So Locke kind of steps up. You see everybody kind of getting ready, working around. They're on a lich.
A lick.
Buck has a tender moment here where he goes, Tanaka, would you do me a favor? Would you say a word or two? I wasn't really sure what was coming out here. I was like, what the hell is this? But it's kind of like a pre-battle mantra, kind of like, let's say something nice. So I think the facial animations here are really good on Tanaka and stuff like that. And she seems kind of like, a little bit smug, but also like, yeah, of course. Do you know what I mean? This is what I do. So
doesn't she ask him at the very beginning of the game? She asked Buck to say something, right?
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so I think they reverse it.
Yeah, that's cool. I totally forgot about that. So she pretty much, I actually like what she says. It's we came a long way together, a long way yet to go. Let's go and make the jump like we mean to and handle fools like we need to. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's good. I mean, it's a good Marine, like,
yeah,
rah,
it's a
we're
totally
badass.
like hoorah kind of moment.
It's a little cheesy, but it's alright.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect.
That's kind of what they need in the moment, though, I suppose.
Yeah, it was well delivered and also a jibe at like Buck buying drinks and stuff like that. That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Sanghili kind of assembling. I think it's really cool just to see the differences between the two teams. Kind of just stepping up.
Yeah, that a great scene where they all just kind of lean off on the side.
Yeah,
I love
shot.
that shot. It's so good.
The Sanghili, the Arbiter, Osiris there lean out the side of the lick, and all the kind of other ships kind of flying around. And Buck just goes, when we get through this, I'll buy the whole damn bar. And then the screen pans to like the war, essentially, of like them dropping in. It's a pretty cool moment of like all this anti-air. I was watching real close. Not a single Pelican crashes here.
Oh, interesting.
What?
Yeah, there you go. Also, there's no Pelicans in this fight. So there you go. That's probably why.
Yep, that
But
probably is
I
why.
think the drop is actually pretty cool. So Cyrus just kind of drops off like as with the Arbiters teams, and it's pretty much just like a real kind of oomph moment. It's pretty cool. And then you're in the mission.
Yeah, they drop
That's
down,
cool.
they land, and point their guns.
It's
That's
another
dope.
cool shot when they all land and like lift their guns up, and then it kind of zooms in and switches to first person.
Mm-hmm. Puts into the game really well.
Do you
Yeah.
guys notice? Do you ever see the constructor? Like, are we moving along with the constructor, or do we just
No.
like know
The
where the
constructor's-
constructor went?
So the
Puts it
constructor's like all probably because it left a while. Like it moves way faster than we do, so I would assume that it's already at the Guardian trying to wake it up at this point.
Mm-hmm. But we know where it is because there's some signal or something like that. I imagine we place on it. That makes sense. The anti-air guns are. I mean, I don't mind them. They're. We always take out anti-air guns in Halo. It's like one of the things we always do. I remember we did it a bunch in Reach. It's just one of the mission objectives that we're used to. This first one here, actually all of them. Did you guys know there's a generator on all of them?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I
Did
destroyed.
you not? I
No,
always
I-
destroyed a generator.
I didn't realize that until I was watching somebody else play and talk through the mission. I think
that's
it was
weird.
actually Late Night Gaming. I was watching his take on Battle of Sunaion. He's like, "Oh, you can just shoot that." And I'm like, "Wow, that'd have been way easier."
I don't even shoot it. I just Spartan charge it. It takes
or
one
a
hit and then
grenade
it
from
dies.
a distance.
Yep.
Yeah,
Did-
it's real weak.
Do they mention? Oh, they might mention it. I think
They
during
do
the mission
mention
at
it.
some point. Yeah, but I just never picked up. I
The
probably
very first one you go to, I think someone says focus fire on the gun or find the generator. It's someone
Yeah.
says one or the other. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, if you use Locke's like targeting thingy, it'll mark it.
Oh, does it?
okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Nice. If it's not clear by now that I always struggle with like paying attention to the dialogue when I'm just playing the game. So yeah, I'm sure that just went right past my ears and one in one ear and out the other. That's the whole thing. All right, so we take out this first one, and then the Arbiter splits off. Him and his Swords of St. Helios split off. The Arbiter like climbs the wall with his.
I was
I
glad you
love
mentioned that.
that.
Was so badass. It's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks really cool. He just kind of stabs it into the side of the building.
Just
and
like
then they
Wolverine
take off.
climbs up something.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's very good. And then we just proceed through the city. Overall thoughts of this mission, maybe just now, the city itself. There's this war going on in the background. There's ships flying around and crashing, and things are on fire, and there's a lot of chaos.
kinda cool.
It's dark.
It feels like a war zone, and
Mhm.
I think it is pretty cool. I like to see the design of it. I like it. It's very different than anything we've ever been on. I liked it. I thought it was cool enough.
Yeah, Krista, any thoughts on this aesthetic? Is this like the mission design? What's going on?
It looks very alien, which I
Mhm.
really appreciate. It looks just so crazy and different. I love the lights. It looks alien without looking Covenant, I think is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. It doesn't look like outrageously Covenant like what we're used to. It looks different, which I think it's supposed to. It's not Covenant.
Well, is it Forerunner? It's not Forerunner. It's Sangheili,
No, it's
right?
it's a Sangheili city, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of their like it's basically their really technologically advanced city, I think, or their capital or something.
Yeah, it's like an ancient city, I think, that's sacred because of the Guardian. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very cool. I think they did a good job. It's very unique. I don't think there's any other mission in Halo that looks the same. Plus, it's dark out and all that sort of thing. When we did the Swords of St. Helios mission, we're also fighting the Covenant alongside the Swords of St. Helios, but this fight feels different. It feels a little bit more, I don't know, dire, probably just with everything else going on in the background. There's just more of it. Maybe it's the night setting, maybe it's the story has progressed a little bit and it is more dire, but it feels like a bigger, more important battle than what we had previously fought when we were alongside the Sangheili. Fighting Sangheili and Jackals and Grunts and everything else that's
And everything,
part
yeah.
of the Covenant. So we're just proceeding through this area. I would say, the doors are open. There's doors here and there. They kind of open once you get to a sticking point. Once you take out the next AA gun, take out that generator however you want. The Spartan charge, or you can shoot it, throw a grenade at it. The anti-air gun itself takes quite a bit more damage, or is harder to take out. And so when I finally, realized that or found out that you could take out the generator, this whole part is way easier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the last part is a little bit still difficult because the generators are a little more hidden, but the anti-air guns that lead up to that last stand before you go down the elevator, they are more out in the open. So it's pretty slick to get, just take them out. And then once you take them out, I don't think you have to clear out all of the enemies in order to proceed. I think it's just take the anti-air gun out, and that's kind of like the checkpoint, and then you can the next door will open or whatnot. Any overall, I don't know, just strategies to talk about? I mean, you use your UNSC weapons right away, but then you quickly run out of the ammo that you have, and then you're picking up.
Yeah, you got to scavenge a lot in this mission.
Yeah, lots of scavenging. You're picking things up. I think I usually try to find a carbine as quickly as possible. I was using a little bit of the needle rifle throughout this area.
Needle rifle.
Or needler.
Oh, I thought I totally missed something.
Yeah, I know, that would be amazing.
Something beautiful.
But yeah, I grabbed a needler here and there. Yeah, Krysta, what did you go with for the most part?
Oh, carbine mostly, and then needler and plasma. What is it? Storm rifle?
Oh, yeah, storm rifle.
Yeah.
I like the storm rifle in Halo 5.
I like the storm rifle too. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I used it for a bit. I had a lot of carbine, and any time I could get my hands on a plasma caster, I used it.
Oh yeah, the plasma casters are fun.
I have a hard time because they like bounce, right? Like if you have the wrong angle, they kind of bounce on the floor.
The primary shot bounces a bit, yeah.
If you charge it, it doesn't bounce.
It sticks and explodes.
Okay, I've never done the charge. You just hold down the trigger.
Oh my god, the charge is amazing. It sticks
great.
and blasts like a little plasma cluster grenade. It's cool.
Damn it! What am I
Highly
doing?
recommend it.
How have I never done that? All right, I gotta play this whole game again.
It's great. Yeah, the plasma launcher is great when you do that. If you just do it normally, it's like it doesn't work very well.
There's fuel rods around to deal with as well. So, or to, I guess, deal with and then also use. So grab those. Those are always fun. Limited ammo, but those are always fun to use. Yeah, I mean, this area is kind of a little chaotic because you're running around I guess, you're taking out a couple AA guns, and then the final area that you get to is when there's the 3 AA guns that you need to disable and take out. And that's right before you go down in the elevator. That area kind of gets a little hard for me. Because there's just a lot going on, and you have to go either take out the AA gun with lots of ammo or go around and find the generator. And especially in the higher difficulties, it tends to be a little chaotic, and it's easy to get a grenade in the back or just get flanked. One of the interesting things though is that one of the generators is behind this shield. Did you guys find that shield that was up in that area where there are grunts in the background? They're like worshiping.
They're like
guardian.
chanting and singing.
I love that one. You have to what you have to do is you have to go into the adjacent building and climb up the stairs and then jump over to the other one. Mm-hmm. And I always just do a beautiful ground pound on all those grunts.
Oh, you do? You just take them all out?
Yeah, it's glorious.
There's
really
one
is.
leader in the middle, and then everybody else is down below.
Yeah, and they're doing a little song.
Mm-hmm. It's a little goofy, but I like it, I mean, it shows you that, so this is the Covenant stronghold. It shows you that they're also revering these guardians, that they're kind of learning about the guardians and discovering them as they go, almost as at the same time that we're understanding what they are. But they're, it's Forerunner tech, and that's kind of what the Covenant is all about, is revering that technology. So it makes sense that they would be there, chanting. I mean, can you imagine being a Covenant where these giant things are coming out of the ground, actually? Like,
you're probably having a good old time.
Yeah, you're like, oh, the prophecy's fulfilled, all this sort of stuff. Like, look at this thing. It's giant. It's huge. Things are happening.
Especially as it's a religious site anyway, built around the Guardian, that they know it's there. So, when it starts moving and stuff, you're kind of thinking, holy shit.
Yeah, everything that was said was true. Holy crap. Yeah,
my religion's cool. Real? What?
Right.
I'm not prepared for this.
So yeah, and I think Tanaka mentions that you go over to the side and then jump up and down and around, and then you can take out the generator. Again, you don't have to. You can just throw a whole bunch of ammo at the AA gun, but it's fun to go in that room and see what's going on over there. Let's see here. Once you take that out, then Maki Chava comes back, our foe hammer, our Sangheili foe hammer. She says, air defenses still protect the skies between you and the Guardian. Too many for me to ferry you to your destination. You need another path. At your location, there's a passage to Sunaion's Undercity, which will allow direct access to the Guardian. So we need to go find that elevator, and we go down. So remember we talked about how Sunaion is this city on stilts, and it was built at the location of the Guardian, and the Guardian is clearly, in this ocean area. So they built this city on stilts. The Guardian's right nearby. So we have to go down to the lower area of the city, and then we proceed. That's kind of what this next section of the level is, or the mission. We proceed under the city, and then we kind of head back up to the top, which is a pretty cool concept. We haven't really have we done that before? Not that I recall.
Maybe in like High Charity or something.
Yeah, High Charity we did a little bit. Yeah, that makes sense. We kind of went down and around and that sort of thing, but we haven't done it in a while, and so it's definitely not in Halo 5. So it's a cool mission design, I think. We go down into the elevator. We get the whole squad going down with us, Fireteam Osiris, and then we contact Arbiter, because remember, Arbiter went off on his own, so he's kind of going his own path, finding his way to the Guardian. And we make contact with him, tell him what's up, and then he says, like, give my regards to John, or does he say the chief? He says chief. Yeah, give my regards to the chief when you see him.
Which he called him the chief, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
As opposed to demon. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they became buds to a degree, right? In
they did.
Halo 2.
Yeah. There's an element of respect there.
They gained respect.
Halo 3.
Yeah. Yeah, Halo 2 and Halo 3. Yeah, they respected each other, I think, at that time. And plus, they escaped together, right? And granted, the Arbiter was the one that actually made it back. But it's interesting that he realizes that they're close to getting to John, and this is probably the last time that he's going to see Fireteam Osiris, because the plan is to jump on the Guardian. So he's like, okay, when you see him,
good luck, yeah.
Tell him what's up.
Holler at my boy.
That's right.
Can I just say I hate this Undercity because I always fall off the edge?
Yeah, it's a jumping puzzle.
I don't like this huge bit, and especially because of the achievement related down here with the two hunters.
Oh yeah,
that made me hate this whole area.
What is it? What's the achievement? I forgot about.
To knock
the achievement
them off the edge.
Is to knock both hunters off the ledge into the water, but it's on a higher level of difficulty. It might even be legendary.
It's like heroic or higher, maybe.
Yeah, it's real tough. I spent a long time doing it. Really annoying.
You kind of just have to let them charge at you.
Yeah, you have to let them charge at you and kind of jump at the edge last minute and stuff. You can bring them onto the bridge a little bit. It took me forever, and that's why I really hated it. The bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, every time I go into this area, I get like flashbacks. I'm like, oh god.
Mm-hmm.
Hunters.
Well, and that's not for a while. Like the lead up, the battle leading up to the hunters is difficult too, especially on legendary, because you're just getting shot at all angles. You're really just kind of going down this gauntlet of this Undercity in order to
there's a bunch
reach
of
the other end.
And there's a bunch of different like height variations and stuff like that. Like enemies are below you, enemies are above you. It's kind of hard to find good cover in this area, which I kind of like. It's challenging and it's fun. And, Covenant gameplay isn't the most original gameplay in the world. It's fun and classic, but it's nice to kind of have a different area to fight them in.
Yeah.
Which is something I really like about this mission.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're fighting the same Covenant, but they're just doing it differently. They're throwing some more challenges at you, which I think is necessary. We've been playing this game for how long? It's the end. It's towards the end of Halo 5, but it's also towards the end. This is the fifth iteration. The fifth. We know there's more because of ODST and Reach, but we've been playing Halo for a while, so they got to change it up as much as possible. And I think it makes sense, and they do it well. They created this city as a part of the story to enable that different encounter with the Covenant.
And then they mix it up then with Prometheans in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So this area is kind of tough to talk through and walk through, but yeah, jump around, right? You're jumping around, you're flanking as much as possible, or just using your long range weapons.
The beam rifle really helps.
Beam rifle, yeah.
Yeah, I actually did pick it up for the first time in this mission.
The Kneeler didn't really work out for me too well here because you're too far away for the most part, so you did have to pick up something that was a little more precise. And then I think there's a couple of spots where you do get... Actually, when you get down, I think originally, you can kind of reload and pick out some different weapons. But then from there, you're just scavenging. At the very end, let's talk about that hunter fight a little bit more. But you have... So if you want to do the achievement, go for it. Have some fun there. But then you also have... before you get up there, there's like a turret on the very bottom area. So you got to deal with that turret. And then you clear that out, and then the two hunters enter the arena. And there's like a fuel rod on one side, and then I think there's a plasma caster is on the other side of it. And this time I finally used them. Normally I just kind of take the hunters on with, my whatever I have and my grenades. And you guys mentioned that you hate these fights more than I do. For some reason I don't have as hard of a time with the hunter fights.
It's mostly because there's a bunch of different achievements involving hunter fights, and I think we just kind of remember those bad days where we have to do dumb shit with hunters.
Right. The hunters are actually just laying there.
Which is really cool. Yeah,
it is cool seeing them kind of build themselves up and move. It is cool.
Mm-hmm. So it's like just them kind of laying on their stomachs, I guess, but it's like their armor is all in place, and the worms move up, and the Lagolo move up into the hunter, and then they activate, I guess.
It's interesting.
Animate.
I guess that's like a resting position for them or something.
Maybe? I guess, yeah. Maybe they're eating underneath all of that. Who knows?
They're just on top of a body eating it.
Having a snack. If you were a Lagolo, would you want to be on the arm? Would you want to be the head? Where would you want to be in the hunter?
In the very middle, because I'm less likely to die.
The safest bit.
Right. I'd probably be behind the shield, that big shield that they carry. Because you can also bash stuff with it.
They flick grenades away from you. They're pretty smart in this game.
Yeah, they do. That's why the plasma caster was a little rough for me. I didn't know about the charge shot, so I was just firing those things. They were batting them away.
And so the arena's just filled with all these grenades.
Flying projectiles.
Yeah,
I'm going to aim for their feet.
It's also an interesting little arena to fight the hunters because there's a lot of different cover around, and there's different heights and levels. And you can go far, way off in the distance. And I guess this fight particularly, if you're doing the achievement, yes, it's tough, but there's enough range for you to kind of just run away and just, pop at them from a distance.
Fighting them normally isn't too difficult. They give you plenty of, stuff to kind of do what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I go grab that fuel rod usually. Or I think I did that for this playthrough. Normally I just use grenades and whatnot, but the fuel rod, just throw a bunch of fuel rod ammo at their face, and one of them goes down, and then the rest of it's a little bit easier. All right, so at the end here, then I think we go back up on the other side, right? We get to the end here.
Yeah, you go up an elevator here.
Mm-hmm. So we kind of went underneath the city. We go now up on the other side. And now this is where we start fighting some Prometheans.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, the Guardian is a forerunner structure, and it makes sense that, I guess we'll find out here in a little bit what's the source of the resistance. But I guess before we get there, we see, so you see a bunch of Covenant, or I guess you see Sanghili and Ungoi and jackals. They've just been mangled, or they're just kind of some of them a couple of them are alive, but there's this big war zone. Did you get the sense that any survivors were Covenant or Swords of Sanghelios, or is this the Covenant because that was fighting the Forerunners?
They're Covenant because if you put your crosshair on them, it goes red.
Oh, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the Covenant were here. So it could be a combination of the Swords of Sanghelios proceeding, to the destination, or now that we're fighting Forerunners, now that we know that we're fighting Forerunners, it could be them that had, kind of taken them out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they kind of both want the same thing. The Prometheans want to protect the Guardian, and the Covenant want the Guardian. It's kind of unclear exactly what the Covenant want from the Guardian, but they just want to look at it, I guess. We just want a quick peek, please. And they're like, no.
They made it sound like this is just one of their last cities in general. I mean, it may not have an objective.
They're protecting.
I suppose. This is just where we live. Do you know what I mean? And Arbiter invades.
They're probably just worried about the Covenant and the Prometheans both kind of trying to occupy the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and also if the Guardian leaves, that place is getting super click-clacked, so...
Well, yeah. So that's what we kind of see next, is the Guardian is rising now, and it starts to make some noise, and, you know, Vale has taken interest in that along the way in previous missions, like what's going on with the noise that it makes. You see it rising up, and then now we're like, the city is being destroyed in front of us, and we have to sprint.
So cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, this bit's pretty cool.
It's a cool little sprint that you have to do. You know, things are falling. The walkway or the street that you're on is crumbling, and then you eventually get to a point where there's a kind of a mini cutscene where you slide down as Locke or whatever character you are, slide down, and you kind of have to grab onto the ledge, climb back up, and you see all this debris and whatnot falling into the ocean below.
Yeah. Apparently that little sequence is skippable if you move fast enough, boost and jump, and even have the little bit of an extra sprint from a sword. Apparently
Really?
you can skip that, yeah.
Interesting.
Very cool. When you get back up, you have to hop over that. There's a gap there that you have to hop over. I think you can kind of get under where you are too, and there might be a intel or something like that there. Proceed further, and then that's where the Forerunners start to show up when you proceed further. But by now, the city is in shambles. Like, it looks rough. Everything is fallen down. There's a couple, you know, doorways and whatnot to go through, but like you're kind of climbing through everything that's been destroyed because of the Guardian rising and emitting its pulse. You eventually meet up with there's a couple crawlers you got to kill, and then you eventually meet up with the Arbiter,
who is just murdering those crawlers.
Well, he takes out a knight.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta love the Arbiter. He's so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and I think it's just the Arbiter. I don't think I noticed any other Swords of Saying Helios. I think it's just him just going around. He does a lot of spin attacks. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, it's just him.
He loves the spin attack.
Spin attack, spin attack.
It's
like he knows
move.
one button to hit. He's like hitting X or whatever it is. The spin attack button. Or it's like when you know one combination in a fighting game. It's just keep doing
Just
that
button
one.
mashing.
He
God
likes to
damn it,
spam his
Arbiter.
moves.
I mean, Arbiter was in a fighting game, so...
That's
true.
right. Yeah, which one is that?
Was it
Killer
Soul
Instinct.
Calibur?
Killer Instinct?
No,
Killer
Killer
Instinct, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Killer Instinct, yeah.
That's right. All right, so take us through your approach on this fight here. Now we're going to see something interesting that we'll grow on about in a little bit. But this initial fight here, with all the Prometheans, what are you doing here, Krysta? You're seeing the Guardian in the background rising up. Are you just staring at the Guardian?
I just give up and walk away. No.
I'm out of here.
I'm trying to grab splinter turrets whenever possible, just because it makes my life way easier.
Yep, there's officers
I
all
remember
around.
it being a little hard to find any carbine ammo in this area, so I just ended up picking up a needler, and it was actually like fairly effective, which I was surprised.
Close quarter stuff. Like there's enough distance, but enough of the crawlers come nearby, and then all of a sudden you'll turn around and there'll be a soldier there. So that makes sense.
And I think I also ended up grabbing like a suppressor and stuff like that, just kind of trying to clear out enemies. But that splinter turret really helps pick those up all the time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. David, how about you?
I'm also the exact same. I'll go straight for splinter turrets. I ran out of ammo and everything I had here, so I was picking up everything. Bolt pistols, suppressors. I think I even got one of the knights, I think had a, I'm blanking on the shotgun.
Scattershot?
Scattershot, yeah.
The scattershot's pretty good too, actually. I think I used that at the very end of this battle.
I had a ridiculously effective team here. I don't know why, but I just told my team to focus on the Warden. I didn't even shoot him once.
The Warden?
Managed to kill him.
What?
Yeah.
The Warden shows up. Isn't that nuts? It's
sorry.
number 3. This is the third time we fight. So it's the second time that Fireteam Osiris has fought him. Third time that we as the player have fought him. And they do make a comment about that. They're like, hey, this guy again? He's showing up again? What the hell?
I actually forgot the Warden was in this mission, actually.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm not sure if he kind of just really fits into this battle really well. It's kind of seamless. He just kind of shows up. There's a bunch of knights and stuff. He just kind of seamlessly blends into what's going on. I feel like they didn't... I actually like it because they didn't make him like the centerpiece of this battle. He just kind of shows up and you have to fight him.
Yeah. He's there. He makes things more difficult, but I feel like this Warden fight isn't that difficult.
No, it's not.
Because there's lots of stuff to hide behind.
And you get the splinter turrets completely chew this guy up.
Yeah, they're great for that.
I use that. I finished him off with a scatter shot to the back, and honestly, if you use the commands, people, your teammates are useless if you're not using those commands, but if you have them trained on the Warden, he will, for some reason, he prioritizes them on most difficulties, so he will just have his back turned to you and just go after them. No idea why.
There's an incineration cannon up on top too, because you can climb around some areas.
Crap! Never knew that.
Yeah, so kind of up on the right, you can climb up there and grab an incineration cannon and use that to your advantage. Pretty handy. But yeah, there's tons of weapons to pick up. So I've never really had that much trouble on this. I mean, he still throws that gravity bomb that is super annoying that tracks you down, so you have to go hide behind something. That. But there's plenty of cover, so it's usually not too big of an issue. I think the main part of this fight is try to clear out as much of the ads, the other Prometheans as possible. You don't have to clear them all out to focus on them, but clear those guys out because they'll flank, as they do. They'll flank you and cause you problems. I want to mention too here before we take out the Warden Eternal for the second/third time. The skull is here, so at the very end, kind of where he appears at the end of this platform, you go down there and then climb down below, and the skull is there. It is let's see, where is it? I wrote down the cowbell skull.
Yep. It's
kind of stuck down there in the dirt. So I think you need to grab that before you kill the Warden, because when you kill the Warden, it triggers the cutscene. So you have to be kind of wandering around doing all that stuff.
Which isn't too bad. I mean, you just you just sacrifice your teammates to go do your chores.
Well, and you just, when you pick it up, it saves it no matter what. So if you die or reach a checkpoint and die, it'll still register that you got the skull. So you don't have to keep doing it. You don't have to get the skull and then also kill the Warden. You can just get the skull, die, and then go and kill the Warden later, which is pretty handy. Any other thoughts on the area, David, before we go to the final cutscene?
No, it's pretty cool. It's a nice little fight.
Yeah, this is a good mission. I mean, it's
well designed.
Yeah, it's well designed. There's lots of variety in it. It sends you through a couple narrow hallways and then it opens up, and then it sends you through another narrow hallway and then it opens up. It kind of does that throughout the entire mission, and then it has this nice little set piece at the end where again the Guardians rising up, and we've talked about it throughout the entire Halo. It's take a second and just see what's going on, but it's a really cool thing to have that as the backdrop as you're fighting the Prometheans and the Warden.
I also think that, Halo, you have a lot of just kind of corridor crawling kind of gameplay where it's you on some random planet and it just kind of starts looking the same. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to this set piece is just so distinct and interesting that it stands out a lot from the other set pieces that we've kind of been going through.
Yep. And there's that running piece too, where you're running and the cities are crumbling around you. That helps break it up as well. And then it's a nice change too, whereas the city is, it's in one piece. It looks like a city. And then it has that change, that moment where now everything is kind of crumbled, and it makes sense for this last arena because everything is fallen down and disheveled and whatnot.
It's dynamic.
Very dynamic. That's right. All right, David, let's do this cutscene.
Yeah. So this cutscene triggers, like you said, when you want to kill the Warden Eternal. It shows Osiris looking up at the Guardian as the battle rages on. You see all the ships getting blown up, all kinds of madness. The guys are like, okay, how the hell did we get there? And then Palmer to the rescue.
Yeah, I love this.
Pelican.
And
Halsey. There was a thrown off comment at the start where Palmer says, oh yeah, we're getting Halsey off planet as soon as you insert, essentially, because Halsey's not really needed. They're bringing her back to Infinity. But instead, Palmer is showed up to save the day.
Yeah.
And there's a cool sequence of Osiris jumping on the back of the Pelican as Palmer kind of swerves around. It's pretty damn cool. Really slick. She then boosts her way straight up towards the Guardian in the middle of this fight. She takes some fire from a Covenant Banshee, because it's a pelican, so it has got to crash. There's a weird sequence with like Halsey has her eyes closed and Palmer's like, you're missing everything with your eyes closed. Or open your eyes, Doc, you're missing all the action. It's kind of weird. So
He's probably just commenting on how Halsey thinks she's all that, but when it comes to combat, Halsey's just way out of her element.
Yeah.
That's true.
Can you imagine that, being a civilian in the middle of this? That's nuts.
Yeah, it's mental. There's so Palmer's doing her best essentially to get the pelican up. Takes a hit. I don't know how Osiris survives this because like the back is open, and it takes like a banshee bomb essentially to an engine. So they're like bouncing around inside. Palmer pretty much just ramps it and flies straight up.
Yeah.
Buck falls out again, and like Locke catches him, and it's cool thing of like that's twice. And Buck goes, "What? We're counting now?"
Yeah.
Palmer pretty much just shouts at him, "You got one shot," and just tells him when. And pretty much he just lets go, and then Osiris just like fall off the back of the pelican and land onto the Guardian, as it then pulses and knocks everything out of the sky. Even though Locke earlier in the mission told Arbiter, get your ships away from it. Once it leads off, it's gonna knock everything out with some blasts and then depart. Arbiter just says something about like, no.
Yeah, he just says like, we'll deal with it. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah,
right?
it's like there's always an element of danger or something along those lines. Anyway, so Pelican crashes, no surprise. Locke seems pretty concerned about it. It's kind of funny, but then
he's very concerned about Palmer in particular.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on there?
Yeah, and then they like run into nothing, and obviously somehow get like teleported into the Guardian, I guess.
Yeah.
The Guardian then slips space out, and then you have the Arbiter just like cutting fools up, and pretty much looks up at the Guardian departing, and it's pretty much like, yeah, we've won. Hunt them to the last. Today we extinguish the Covenant's light forever. He loves these little one-liners, and everybody throws up their swords, and then we get fade to black.
Hooray!
Two comments from me. Three comments. Palmer's a total badass.
3 comments.
Yeah.
As I've told you this entire time.
I don't know. Anyone could have done that.
Saves the day here.
You could have replaced that with any other character.
She doubled back. The moment where Locke catches Buck, it's very like action movie moment, right? Like that's happened a couple times now. And then they have like kind of their little moment, I caught you again, that sort of thing. Very
this
action
is the
movie
second
stuff
time
going
it's
on.
happened in this mission.
No, not in this mission.
Yeah, Locke fell off the that kind of scene.
Himself.
That exact scene happened with Locke falling off. Yeah, it wasn't someone else.
No, he got up himself. Yeah.
He catches Buck at the end when they're running away from the first Guardian.
But all these guys are falling off shit. You'd think they'd be a little more coordinated, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Catch him at the last moment. What happens if he didn't catch him? It's just like, oh, bye.
Have fun. He's going for a swim. He's going for a
He'd
dip.
be fine.
Palmer
Just sink. I mean, he has plenty of air. He'd just sink to the bottom and just hang out there until the battle's over.
That'd be amazing if they did that.
He just he just sinks into the water and then ends up in Rapture from
Well,
Bioshock.
if you're playing with co-op, if you're playing 4 people, all of a sudden one person just can't play anymore.
You just have to watch.
Yeah. And then the third comment is, so the Swords of St. Helios defeated the Covenant in the Battle of Sunaion. Is the Covenant officially dissolved now?
Pretty much, yeah.
Other than like the random splinter factions, they made it sound like this is it. Like this is the end of the Covenant. Is pretty much what the way the Arbiter says it.
This is the last big faction of the Covenant. There's of course, other pieces of the Covenant here and there, but this was the last big chunk, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is Jules' faction of the Covenant that we met in Halo 4. And it's fine, they're finally defeated. And they were the biggest threat, I guess, I guess. They were the biggest problem for the Sangheili.
Inconvenience.
I don't know how you would put it, but I mean, there's a civil war going on, right? So I don't know what the exact split is, but now the Swords in St. Helios can start to implement or speak their language and start to implement their values and things like that. They're trying to get back to the ways of the Sangheili before the Covenant.
Yep.
Any thoughts from you guys? I had my 3 thoughts. David, do you have any thoughts on the cutscene?
Cutscene's pretty cool. It's pretty dramatic. It's simple. It's, I don't know. We've seen this before. Pelicans charging at Guardians to drop people off near them and on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know. It's great. It's fine. I don't know what they originally planned to do. They actually planned to get to the Guardian the way Blue Team did, like with it underground, because they did not seem prepared at all for when it actually took off.
Yeah,
like what
right.
they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, given there's a lot of drop ships and ships around, and actually shout out like McKee comes into this again in the middle of this mission. So shout out to the female Sangheli pilot who pretty much says I can't come and get you because of all the guns. But she can't bring you to the Guardian, essentially. But I thought that would have been a better moment to introduce her.
That's true.
But anyway, it's fine. We got Palmer and Halsey.
Yeah, that is interesting. I guess because they mentioned her before, as you know, before they go down the elevator, she talks to him, and then she could have been the one that picks him up.
Yeah, I thought that would have been cool.
Mm-hmm. And then you could have seen her, right?
Yeah.
Kristen,
or even maybe not could have been like a do you see Fohammer? I don't know if you ever see Fohammer. I'm trying to think.
No.
Maybe through
no, you don't.
Yeah, it could be a Fohammer like moment of her swooping in and picking you up and blasting away, and then
pour one out for Fohammer.
Anyway, Mackey's still alive anyway, so
I like my floors
far as we know.
clean, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not pouring anything on the floor.
Yeah, there's no other crazy bits of trivia. The cutscene with Locke or any Osiris member falling off criminal path, like I said, can be skipped with a speed boost granted by wielding an energy sword. The Arbiter is invincible as a non-playable character, unlike Halo 3, where he could be temporarily killed. However, should he be knocked off into the sea, such with the splinter turrets used by the soldier officers, then he will never be seen again until either the Promethean part of the mission or the ending of the cutscene, or the end cutscene of the mission.
Oh,
which is kind of an interesting thing. Other than that, there's nothing else really special about this mission.
Krista, any other thoughts before we do some intel?
I love fighting the Covenant, so I really like this mission. I think it's fun. I think it's dynamic. I think it's interesting, and it definitely kind of stands out from all the other missions in Halo 5. It's kind of something special. So I like it.
There's no vehicles, so for me, I think one of the best missions in Halo, I don't know if we've gotten there yet, but in Halo 5, like there's usually some sort of a vehicle in there, but this is probably the best non-vehicle mission, I would say.
Yeah.
That we played so far.
Okay. I'm okay with this mission. I wouldn't say I love it the way you do.
I like, maybe I just like the architecture, and it's dark and it's kind of foreboding, and I don't know. I just really like it.
That's okay, Krista. You do you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for not judging me.
All right, let's do some trivia.
You already did the trivia.
Or excuse me, some intel. Some intel. That's right. Intel.
We have 8 intels, guys.
Okay.
More intels.
All right.
Okay. Next one is message to Jakul Arak. If you remember this one, it's the brothers. One's loyal to the Covenant, the other's loyal to the Arbiter. So they're kind of debating each other in weird Sangheli ways. Jakul Arak, my brother, now that we are free of the corruption of the Sanshai-hum and the foolishness of Julmandama, you have no reason to refuse my offer of amnesty. Come home, brother. Next one is message to Jarul Arak. 4 out of 4. My brother, it seems our ancestors wished us to control our stubbornness. Today I killed you for your betrayals. You were strong. You ensured that by dawn. I will join you. Perhaps beyond the battles of this world, we will find a way to live together in peace once more. Both brothers have died. Very sad ending.
That was a sad little story that I thought they told true.
So yeah, he said, you were strong, you ensured that by dawn I will join you.
Oh, I see. Okay. So
he was mortally wounded.
Gotcha.
Or he just couldn't escape the city in time, but
I feel like that would have been a great story to tell more fleshed out, maybe in a different format of like 2 Sangheli on opposite sides of the Civil War. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I love to see more. I'm sure like they could definitely do a short story of these brothers and elaborate on it or something, which I'd really like to see. Or a comic or something. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of interesting to see stuff like that because Sangheli feel family ties like any other race, even though they're on opposite sides and stuff like that.
They're very strong about their family.
They are.
Well, and it's a different kind of family, right? Because they're a part of the keep. They don't know who their parents are.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
they know that they're related in some
They don't know their
capacity.
father, but like
They have-
it's still family.
Yeah, they have bigger, because they're all considered like brothers and sisters when they're growing up. So it's a kind of a deep connection with people, even though you might not be blood related. You're still related in battle and in blood on the battlefield, stuff like that. The next one is Chant of the Guardian. Speak not to the holy guardian of Sunaion. Pray only that it remain still. Let it not stir, lest it tear our world asunder. Well, that didn't work very well, so try again. Prayer of the Guardian. O Guardian, may this prayer keep him asleep forever. He keeps our world safe and protects the Covenant. The domain cannot be opened as long as he stays sleeping, O Guardian. Magnificent sleeper. That's actually really...
wow.
I really
That's
identify
all
with
wrong.
Magnificent Sleeper. It's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, too bad all the information was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, the next one is from our favorite little guy, Kit Pitlimp's Adventure Log, 3 out of 4.
He's back.
Yay! Kit Pimplip here. I understand it now. The Guardian is connected to places all around. Others are afraid of it. They think that he will destroy us. I think that he is our real vessel to the great journey. When the time comes, I'll be ready. So he's having a good old time being completely ignorant. Yeah.
He was probably one of those that
Good
was
for him.
worshiping behind that shield.
No, this
Think
is
we
only
slaughtered
3
him?
out of 4 though, so he's still
Oh.
alive. We still have more from Kit Pimplip.
Okay.
Pitlimp. Pimplip. He's a pimp. Sunaion Officer's Personal Log. We have fallen back again and again, and now they are here. Here! The heretic filth has pushed into Sunaion. What madness is that our strength can be overcome by their weakness. So, some angry people. The next 2 are the ceremonial sword ones, where the hilt of the sword bears an ancient Sangheili proverb. So the first one is, do not ignore the words of those who saw the sun before you. So, respect your elders. The next one is, no blade is sharp enough to cut an unknown enemy. Know your enemy. And that's it. We got a lot of fun Sangheili stuff there.
Cool. That was a good one. I like that one. All of them, I guess.
All of them.
All of them. All right. Let's do some community.
Ooh.
What did
Question
Facebook have to
mark, Colin?
say? I think this is a fun
Facebook.
question.
It was a fun question. What was the question? I'll tell you, Colin. Colin Perkins, the admin on November 13th at 4:27 p.m. Pick any 4 Spartans, dead or alive, to be your dream fire team. What are their roles? Optional. Question for mission debrief Halo 5 before the storm battle for Sunaion missions.
What are the roles?
Well.
Optional. So you could decide what they do, or you could just give the 4 Spartans.
We got a lot of responses
Lots.
on Facebook. Shout out to my Facebook peeps. Matthew said, Kurt051, fire team leader, risk assessment. Spartan 3B12, which is the Spartan you played as in Reach.
Noble 6.
Noble 6. You have Wetwork Lone Wolf Operator / Scout. You have Mike 120, which is a tech and hardware specialist. He's from Grey Team. Then you have Fred 104, comic relief utility role. That's a pretty good team, Matt. Krysta Brown said Aaron is not allowed to answer this, so that's a good shout out.
Because it was the dead or alive, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, Aaron was just gonna put clone George 4 times and just have a team of Georges, so.
Pretty much. That's what Alan pretty eloquent says. When you're worried, he just have 4 Georges. Patrick Jackson's blue team is the only correct answer, unless of course Fred is replaced with George, which is pretty good. With Fred and Sam, you get the OG blue team plus Linda for sniping, which is pretty good. That's what Matt Lund says. Alex says Fire Team Bay is it Adriana 111, also from Grey Team. We got Kat, Daisy, and Kelly. Daisy
Team Whammon.
Yeah, it's actually Team Whammon. Actually, I didn't even notice that. Daisy
That's what
is
Bay
another
means.
Spartan 2. Is it? Bay
Yeah.
means Whammon? Top.
Well, kind of.
All right.
Well, Bay is like,
got
you
a crush
know,
on.
hey,
Yeah.
bae,
Yeah,
what's up, girl?
that's what I thought. I
Yeah.
didn't know it was a girl.
I-
All right, okay.
What?
I think Bo.
I don't
is
know,
Bo,
Krysta.
Bo
I
the
don't know.
boy version. Boy
Is
and
it?
Bay. Bo and Bay. Yeah.
Boo.
Boo.
Krista,
Boo,
who's your
Bo.
Bay? Is
Boo.
Trent your Bay?
Yeah,
How's
no,
that
Trent's my boo, because he's a boy.
All right, okay.
And Linda's my bae,
I don't
'cause
like
she's
this.
a girl.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you
moving
can
on.
learn about not only Halo but pop culture here on Mission Debrief.
We're here to educate you boomers.
That's right.
That's crazy. Lance says Kurt as the leader, Linda as a sniper, Joshua 029 as tech, Jerome 92 as CQC and heavy weapon specialist. That's pretty cool. He said I originally had Will 043. We have Jesse White says of course John. They had Edward Buck, Kurt, and George. George is an invalid answer because he did. Well, no, he's not really because like. They're
Colin already put that stipulation in there that you can use George.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas says I want a comic relief Spartan team, so Buck, Fred, and Emil. You can't pick a fourth because I'm thinking it was Jai from Grey Team or a Jerome from Red Team, but not entirely sure. I don't think Jerome is a funny guy. I don't really know too much about Jerome.
We'll find out soon when we play Halo Wars.
Ooh.
Yes, we will. Aaron says George, Adriana, Jerome, and Lucy. He said they put Naomi in, but I refused to break up Kilo 5, which is a good answer. Brad says John, Kelly, Samuel, and Buck, which is a pretty good team. They're all Spartan 2s. Most people are choosing Spartan 2s, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Brad says John, Buck, Noble 6, and Crimson 1. Is Crimson 1
he's a Spartan
who
4.
you play as?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I think
Spartan
it's...
Ops.
Yeah.
You play as Spartan Ops, okay. Thim says John, Naomi, Alice, and Linda. John's Angels, which I thought was pretty good. Miles says Noble 6, Master Chief, Hyper Lethal Aeronautical Commandos. That's actually pretty cool. John Hayden Gray says John, Kurt, Noble 6, and Buck. We've got a lot of recurring dudes here. Naomi for secretive... David says Naomi for secretive side, Vale, Buck, and Noble 6. So you have an interesting team there.
Yeah.
Brad says Noble 6, Locke, Linda, and John. Didn't think we'd get Locke on a team.
Yeah, that's the first Locke mention.
Yeah. Brian says, for what reason? To take down Oni. I don't know if it may work. John will lead the fight alongside Locke, who has all the intel on Oni. Linda, well, you know what she does. And Noble 6 as well as Chief. Locke face enemies, and Noble 6 and her hand will be the one cutting down their numbers from behind, leaving no trace. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Jared says Carter. Ooh, Carter. Shadow. Linda, Buck, and Vale. Matthew says all you need is blue team. Yeah. John, Sam, Kelly, and Linda. And my mission is guaranteed success.
So Sam instead of Fred.
Cameron, what? Yeah. Cameron, who I haven't heard in a long time. Hey, Cameron. Says Kratos, Artyom, Cassandra, Alexios. Probably the best of the best. So Cameron is now banned.
Kratos is a Spartan.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Sees Artyom. I see Ranger of Culture. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there you go.
Very nice.
Kratos, Artyom is also, they're called Spartans. They're from the Metro series.
Oh,
and
okay.
They're Artyom. It's cool.
Alternate
Very
universe Spartans.
Pretty much.
Cool. Thanks, Facebook.
There we go. Yeah, Facebook's good. Good Facebook.
All right, Discord. What do you got?
There's not actually much on Discord.
What?
How dare you?
I
know.
sucks.
There's like 4 or 5. So, Dezuto says blue team is too perfect, so I'm purposefully avoiding them. So, dead team. Kurt, George, Daisy, and Roma. Kurt will be team leader, an all-around nice guy. George, mustache ride specialist. Daisy for the sass, and Roma for communications to translate the team's euphemisms to her foes. Chief Stain says George, John, and Linda because I find women that can whip my ass hot as hell. So, good shit, yeah. Matt says John, and John. Why mess with the rest when you can have the best?
Okay. I didn't say anything about cloning, but okay.
I mean, you didn't say no cloning, though.
That's true. I didn't.
Maybe you should work on your stipulations. Physical Sky says Fred because he's a total badass with great one-liners. Daisy because she'd kick your ass anytime, anywhere, for any reason. Will because he's the strong silent type that beats the shit out of hunters in a hand-to-hand combat. Shout out to Fall of Reach. Buck because he knows how to take charge and what to do, and he's being funny as hell and just an all-around cool guy.
Nice.
Avery Johnson says Vale because she speaks Blargy. June with armor and guilty pleasure, sniper in hand. My Spartan from Halo 5.
Okay.
And Sergeant Major Avery Johnson. He knows what the ladies like and brings motivational devices for divine intervention. Also, I mean, Johnson was in the original Spartan program,
That's true. It's true.
Min just says just use Alpha 9. They're perfect.
But Alpha 9 aren't Spartans.
Oh, shit.
Well,
some of them are.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm saying? When you think about it, there is.
You're right. Okay. We're almost there.
Rye says John, June, Noble 6, Sam, and Buck. That's too many. You gotta cut one out. Shadow of Oni says June, Buck, Linda, because the sniper is just Italian hands. Perfect. And Sam, because he was the first to survive Spartan augmentation and was bigger than Chief, even without the armor. Ooh. So, big boys. We like big boys.
First to die.
Like the big boys.
Yeah, first to die as well. Spoilers. And that's about it. That's all we got, boys.
All right.
Coolio.
Sounds good. All right, next stop is Genesis.
What?
That's right. That will do it for our debriefing of Before the Storm and Battle of Sunaion from Halo 5. On the next episode, we'll be covering Genesis. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.